So with that, councillors, I will put it to the vote, and you can use your device in front of you, and that would be fantastic. Thank you. Result is 6 for, 5 against, and the motion is carried. Thank you.
Community is incredibly important to me, and as it is to many of you, and to all of those who continue to show up for a whole range of community events. I have been incredibly privileged to meet this group of people, which I would not have met previously. I feel like it has been a very enriching part of my life and has opened up my knowledge of community.
And all of the ransom rest of the man and woman, dressed in the fashion years ago. But it's just...
Well, it virtually started in 2007 when a fellow worker at the Jervis Bay Maritime Museum, we talked about they were going to sell the church, the Huskisson church, and we became concerned about it. So we went to the papers. At that time I didn't know too much about what I should do, but we went to the papers, and there's an article in the South Coast Register about the church, and the two of us together, that was Helen Rutley. But after that, the church put around a message to send out to all of the parishioners that the church was not for sale.
The Heritage Association first offered a petition with about 3,000 signatures to the council in mid-2018 and made community applications to the New South Wales Heritage Council well before the finalisation of the purchase of the land by the private owners in mid-2021. The owners knowingly bought a graveyard on land zoned for religious purposes, and this looks very much like a case of buyer beware. The cost of things, which is the concern of the owners, and the value of things are two very different things, and as we see it, this land is invaluable.
Well, it all began when I was walking home from the beach one day, and a little angel on my shoulder said, "What's happening at the church? I've not heard the bells ringing, I've not heard the birds singing." The message was, go and ask the minister. I had no idea the history that sits on this land, but I'm so glad I listened to that little angel.
We have decided to wrap this church and this site in love. Anywhere you can.
It's got everything. It's got the classic developer versus the community. It's got an old church that's steeped in local history. It's got deep First Nations heritage. It's got environmental issues, and it's got an on-again, off-again, on-again, off-again heritage listing that spans decades. And there's millions of dollars at stake. An international church that needs the money. It's got everything. Back in the day, we should say, before Europeans arrived in Booderee, the hill on which the church sits was the highest vantage in the area. As was common, Aboriginal graves and elders were celebrated in these areas. There are documented Western burials at the Huskisson church ground, among them famous mariners, plague-ridden children, as well as Aboriginal elders, the likes of King Bud Billy. It's highly likely that Aboriginal graves at this site go back millennia. Some time ago, the Anglican Church decided to sell this parcel of land. It was granted to the Anglican Church way back in the day. As was the custom, they've not paid rates for over 100 years. Yet they fell on hard times and needed a cash injection, so the land was gifted to the Anglican Church to tend the spiritual guidance of the community, and they decided to on-sell that land. It turns out this is a great way of transferring wealth from Indigenous peoples across the world to the church and then on-selling it to developers. just like land banking, but it was stolen in the first place.
I just want to acknowledge the traditional custodians on the land where we are gathered here today. And this burial site in the church has become, over the years, personal with our family because of our grandfather's mother that is actually buried here.
To all of our shame, at the state level, Indigenous heritage is still focused on pre-contact issues covered, embarrassingly, by the National Parks and Wildlife Act.
We were told a long time ago that the Queen Mary's totem was magpie, and the magpies have been here all the time that we've been here. They've been flying around, sitting on the fences, on the trees, watching us. Every time we're here, the magpies are here. And this morning when I got here, there was 2 magpies sitting on the little wooden fence right in front of the church, and I walked right up to them, that far away, and I said to them, "Isn't it great that this day has finally come?" And they went chortle, 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 talked back to me.
It's been a community battle. It's one of the few where the developer has not been able to run roughshod over the community and its views, but it's not over, and we still need to keep the pressure on to make sure that whatever happens here respects the graves, respects the church, respects the environment, and results in a sympathetic development for the village of Huskisson.
One of the highlights or lowlights of this long campaign was having my partner tackled by 3 police who were twice his size, half his age. I mean, he at the time was mid-60s, weighing under 60 kilogram, and he was badly tackled and thrown into a paddy wagon, taken to Nowra. He was badly hurt. We were intimidated by the whole scene. We weren't expecting anything like that. So it underlined the fact that we have been seen as rat bags all the way through when we're not. We're good, upstanding citizens who are trying to do good in our community.
Some years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago, I did climb a couple of trees here, and that's when the developer was cutting down the trees. It was, as you can see, no imminent development at all, just a way of getting rid of the trees, and I think getting the community angry, and that is exactly what happened. Yes, we climbed trees, people were arrested by police, but it's always been a peaceful and respectful movement.
Being a red around here and knowing the sort of apartheid conditions in a way, and that has been, and then knowing this or the bit of heritage that's there, to think they're going to come and concrete over history, it was just too gut-wrenching to get in.
I've had a lot of people come and say they're sorry that they didn't put in more over the 5 years, and I just want to say we wouldn't have kept going if we didn't know there was so much support out there for us. Where we go from here, we're now taking suggestions. We're also looking for benefactors, someone who will buy the site, maybe government, and make it into a real community space.